Thank you very much, dear Irvin, for your introduction. Well, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Dr. Gyorgyi Szabo. I serve as the Executive Director at the Laszlo Institute, and this is our third online symposium. The first focused on the new paradigm in politics, the second, a new paradigm in cosmology, and this weekend, presentations and discussions are centered on sentience and consciousness. Today, we will observe how sentience and consciousness are explained and viewed by various wisdom traditions. There are an estimated 10,000 religions worldwide, but due to the shortness of time for this symposium, we chose representatives of 8 wisdom traditions. Tomorrow, Sunday, we will be exploring the evolution of sentience and consciousness and its relation to the future of humanity. According to some cosmologists, only 5% in our universe is made up of matter, but that is where most of us put 100% of our focus and attention. This creates an illusion of separateness where we believe we are alone. We are independent of the rest of the world, and that when our material body dies, that's the end. We even call this stuff matter because we believe it is all that matters. But the other 95% of stuff in our universe is made up of energies and mysterious vibrations, which actually govern our universe, our bodies, our experiences, our feelings, and our lives. This non-material universe can also be called the spiritual universe. As we tap into the spiritual plane, we start to see how all things are connected. We see relationships, we see energies, we sense intuition, and we discover the true nature of our mind, the true nature of who we are. Is there a consensus about what exactly consciousness and sentience are? Irvin said before that consciousness is at the same time the most familiar and the most mysterious element of our lives. Consciousness is mysterious because it is not clear what it is and where it comes from. Consciousness is not local. It exists in association with the brain, but it is not produced by and confined to the brain. We experience the flow of sensations, feelings, and intuitions. We call consciousness, but we do not perceive consciousness itself. Consciousness is non-local. It is a cosmic phenomenon. Thich Nhat Hanh said that we are all leaves of one tree. We are all waves of one sea. We are embedded in consciousness. Everything is in consciousness and all information is accessible through it. We can only validate the essence of our existence through the deepest internal experience of awareness within us. I believe that sentience is the conscious intelligence that is transcendent of the physical body and connected to the soul. I very much look forward to our 2 days exploration in sentience and consciousness. And now over to my dear colleague, Dr. Alexander Laszlo.
Thank you so much, Györgyi. Thank you, Irvin. And thank you everyone for coming here, for being here, and for joining in this exploration. Györgyi and I are the co-directors of this event, and it is our honor and our pleasure to be here to provide you with a platform, a forum, a space, and indeed a field of exploration. This is, as Györgyi mentioned earlier, this is our third global symposium of the Laszlo Institute. The first one was on the new paradigm in politics. The second one was on the new paradigm in cosmology. And really in that one, we looked at a lot of the similar topics that we'll be looking at today. Indeed, we explored what is consciousness in the universe, but more from a framework of cosmology and the cosmovisions, the different practices, and the different perspectives that science and spirituality bring toward an understanding of consciousness in the universe. That exploration was looking at the aspect of consciousness as is manifest in the universe in that second symposium on cosmology. in this symposium, it's already so interesting that you heard some perspectives from Ervin very briefly, and you've heard also a somewhat different take from Györgyi. And this is exactly what we're looking for here, not trying to get to the answer. What is sentience? What is conscious? Are they the same? But to be provocative, to explore this together. One of the things we want to put particular attention to is what Györgyi was talking about, is how this lives in us. So whereas the last symposium, as I mentioned, on New Paradigm Cosmology was more about what is this? What is consciousness in the universe? What is this aspect of the universe that we can think about as conscious? How can we understand it better? Here we are looking in this symposium is, how does this live in us? How is it that we have the kind of knowing that we can express more scientifically, perhaps, about what is consciousness? And we also have this aspect that lives with us, this sensing, that we can express in ways, but not in words, the ineffable. That's why it is ineffable. How do we know the ineffable of our being? How do we know the ineffable of the universe, of the cosmos underneath it or behind it? These are the things we'll be exploring, looking at different wisdom traditions and trying to be in touch with how this lives in us and how we have forms of knowing that come into human consciousness and forms of knowing that come into our sentience and our being that cannot be put into words, that indeed should not be put into words. They're the expressions of the ineffable. We are here to enjoy this exploration together and to build bridges, to explore together what does it mean to human? How can this understanding of consciousness, as Ervin so beautifully expressed it, and how does it live in us through our ways of accessing it that maybe are more in terms of our sentience, more in terms of our ability to access the, as I mentioned, the ineffable. We explore this together. This is the fun part here. And so if there's any questions that you have, please put them into the chat, as Györgyi suggested, and we are soon to be off and running. Is that good, Györgyi?
Yes, actually, just one more thing. I would love to honor and introduce our team. Besides Ervin, Alexander, and myself, whom you know already, we have other wonderful colleagues with us today. Nora Chisal, who is our Director of Communications and External Relationships. She's going to look after the chat box, and she's done marvelous work in preparation for the event. And you can see Paul Schmidt. He's the amazing tech person behind. So any questions you may have, any problems you may have, just put it in a chat box, and Nora and Paul will be there to help you out. Thank you so much, both of you. Two more wonderful colleagues, Fabrizio, who is our webmaster. He did a wonderful work in terms of the website and promotions, as well as Gianni Lodi, who is our administrator, and he looks after our finances. So thank you to the wonderful team. Now over to you, Alexander.